What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and today we finally have a Chicago Bears mock draft here on the channel. They have the #1 overall pick here in the 2023 NFL draft, which they clinched in the final week of the regular season. And maybe it's a good thing that I waited this long to make this video, because they didn't have the first overall pick throughout the entire season until now. So the timing is just perfect for that. And if you guys are interested in anything related to the NFL draft, this is definitely going to be the channel for you. But let's get this video started. Consider subscribing. The Chicago Bears, okay, we have a lot of options here, and we're definitely going to explore them. We have the ability here to take the best player available on the board, but there are also a lot of trade offers, as you can see here, with 11 with the #1 overall pick. And the biggest reason why I'm more willing to trade back is because our second pick doesn't come till pick 55. Now, why we don't have pick, which would be 32 in this year's draft, is because they traded it away for Chase Claypool, which I don't think was a very great trade made by this front office, but it is what it is. So I would like to get a higher pick here in the second round, just accumulating more picks, because pretty much this entire team is bad. There's like a need at every single position. Maybe you could argue like quarterback, running back, and cornerback, I think maybe are some positions that we can skip on in this year's draft, but all options are on the table in my opinion. We just need to go into this draft and get good football players. And the reason why I'm willing to make this trade, or make a trade, is because the Indianapolis Colts are a team interested. And we're going to make the assumption here that the Colts and the Texans are both going to take quarterbacks, leaving us here with either Jalen Carter and Will Anderson. And I'm fine drafting either of them. So I am going to try and negotiate a trade here. So obviously they want the #1 overall pick, but we're going to have to get a lot in return, right? So the #4 overall pick, and I think we also need to get next year's first. Could we get a first for the next year as well? Okay. So that might be a little too greedy. Can we get 2 seconds? See, we can get a lot of value through this trade right here. I'm also going to try and acquire their third-round pick. Maybe the third-round pick for next year. And then I will throw in maybe is this a third? Yeah, this is probably a late third for this year. We're going to try this. So we're going to get 2 sets of first round to third round picks for the 2023 and the 24 draft. And then we're going to give away our #1 overall pick for this year and a late third round pick. So let's see if they accept this trade. It was accepted. So we got a lot in return for that #1 overall selection, and I think it's totally worth it. So we're going to resume the draft here, and just like we said, 2 quarterbacks go off the board, and then Will Anderson is right here now. Let's take a look. We can still explore a trade, but 8, I'm not willing to go down that far. And look at our draft now, right? We have the #4 overall pick. We're going to end up with Jalen Carter, and we have number 35, 55, 64, 79, and then we have a first, a second, and a third for the year after. I just think that that's phenomenal value for us. And these teams are very desperate for a quarterback. It doesn't matter which one they take. They need a quarterback, right? So I just like the way that this trade ended up for us. We're going to go ahead and take Jalen Carter right here. This is a no-brainer pick. And I think a lot of you guys would have been happy if we got Jalen Carter with the #1 overall pick. And here we are sitting at pick #4, and we have him right in our hands. So that is phenomenal right there. Now, it's very interesting to me is that there are a lot of cornerbacks here, and a lot of good cornerbacks. Like, I think we could all make the argument Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter, even Devin Witherspoon can find their way into the first round. They're sitting here at the top of the second round. Although I did mention as cornerback was one of the 3 positions that I said that, maybe we can push aside a little. We don't really need it as much as every other position. The value here is tremendous, and I don't know if we can really skip on one of these players right here. I mean, I'm going to look down the board, and there are definitely some other spots that we can take. But like I said, when you're drafting with the #1 overall pick, because you are the worst team in football, the goal is to just take whatever position is there, take the best player available, despite the position, whether it's a need or not in your eyes, and just build this team up. I mean, gosh, I don't know if I can really skip on either of these guys. Gonzalez, I think, is a really good prospect. Porter, I think, has the physical traits, but has had really inconsistent play at Penn State. I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of him. Devin Witherspoon, I absolutely love, but I know some teams are a little bit lower on him just because of how lightweight he is. at about 180 pounds coming into this year's draft. But okay, I am going to switch it up a little bit here. So what I will do is I am accustomed to taking Devin Witherspoon because I am a little bit higher on him than compared to some of these other guys on the board. But I will take Christian Gonzalez here. Out of these three guys, I actually had him going the highest in my full first-round mock draft, which if you guys are interested in that, check that out on the channel. But I'm going to take Christian Gonzalez here. Look, like I mentioned before, it's a very physical corner that I think has the ability to go in the first round. You know, he's shown a lot of flashes at Oregon. He's got really good size and good speed, considering his size. I like Christian Gonzalez here in the second round. I have no complaints at all. Now, sitting here with the number 55 overall pick, we got a couple of edge rushers here. Parker Washington, Emmanuel Forbes, Rashee Rice. This is a guy that I really like here heading into the draft. I think this is a guy that should be going much higher than number 55 overall, but just a very built wide receiver with a lot of speed. I like Rashee Rice. I think he's going a little bit under the radar. Mike Morris, Keanu White, those aren't guys that I'm as excited about. Parker Washington is an interesting one. I like Emmanuel Forbes, but we're going to skip on him just because we took a cornerback already. I'm really leaning towards Rashee Rice, and I think having a receiver like him is going to really elevate the game of Justin Fields, who I still firmly believe in as the franchise quarterback going forward for the Chicago Bears. But, you know, you brought in Claypool. I just don't think he was good value for what you traded him for. Then you also have Mooney, who Mooney is good in his own respects, but he's never going to be a number one wide receiver, in my opinion. I think Rashee Rice does have that potential. I'm not saying he will be a number one receiver in this league, but I definitely think that he has the potential, and he was the best offensive player for that SMU team without a doubt. So I think that is going to be my pick right here, here in the second round. Our second pick in the second round, actually. So I am going to take Rashee Rice. Look, I've mentioned this before in other draft videos that I've done, where you get a quarterback, a young quarterback, just a true number one receiver to rely on. The development just goes through the roof sometimes. And, you know, some quarterbacks are just not good, and you can have all the talent around them and it still won't help them. I think Justin Fields does have the talent, and I think if you bring in a true receiver to be a difference maker on the offense, you know, a guy like Justin Fields can just rely on, I think it's going to help him tremendously, because he does not have that at all in the Chicago Bears roster. So we need that difference maker, that potential X factor. And if we can get him here late in the second round, like I said, no complaints at all. So, okay, I forgot that there was one less pick, and I was not doing the math all the way down, but we have the first pick here in the third round, which is technically a late second. I am interested in taking Cooper Beebe here. I think this offensive line could use some help. I think John Michael Schmitz would be an interesting one. Sam Mustipher has just not been good this year. I mean, he's arguably one of the worst offensive linemen. And I know that you guys have Lucas Patrick, I believe, but I think we could use that youth along the offensive line as well. And I think bringing a guy like John Michael Schmitz, who's already playing up north, he's used to the weather, and he's been one of the most reliable centers, not just in the Big Ten, but in all of college football. I know PFF, which is the site we're on right now, thinks really highly of him. So I think we're going to lean towards John Michael Schmitz here. We definitely could go with Cooper Beebe, but just seeing how bad Sam Mustipher has been this year, I'm going to take a center. The center is one of the most important positions on the offensive side of the ball, and we're coming up here on our final selection here in the Chicago Bears mock draft. Look, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, or if you're just a fan of the NFL draft, consider subscribing to this channel, because all we talk about is the NFL draft. This is draft season with Braden, so, you know, self-explanatory there. Tre'Vius Hodges-Tomlinson, this guy has phenomenal statistics at TCU, had one of the lowest completion percentage given up in all of college football. I mean, history, I believe. So that could definitely be an interesting one. DeMarvion Overshown. Sorry, I almost butchered that name right there. We could definitely use him. The linebacker position just extremely weak here for the Chicago Bears. I am going to ignore the running back position. You know, you have Montgomery, you have Herbert. I'm not sure if Montgomery's going to return this offseason, so things could be a little bit different down the road, and I really like both of these running backs, but let's just assume they're both on the team because they currently are right now. DeJuan Jones. This is an interesting one because You have Riley Reeves starting at tackle right now, and I believe it was Borum before that. But neither of those guys, I think, are the future at that tackle position. Braxton Jones has really made his way into that starting lineup, and he definitely earned that. He's playing at a very high level, one of the better tackles in the league right now, in my opinion. I think DeJuan Jones is tremendous value here at number 79 overall, and he could be a day one starter here in round 3. So I think that's a very intriguing player right here. I'm just taking a look down the board. Nothing much else. Like I said, we could take a running back because Herbert still can be the number 1 running back next year if Montgomery's gone, but it would still be good to have another running back behind him. So running back, right? Devon Achane, Tank Bigsby. I think either of those guys would be good picks here. I am going to go with DeJuan Jones here. We have to make it an emphasis to protect the quarterback. That's what we're going to do here with DeJuan Jones here. I think we had ourselves a phenomenal draft. Now, look, I know I'm going to get a bunch of comments saying, oh, no, we needed this, we needed that. The way that I view this team, you guys need pretty much everything. You know, aside from the quarterback, like truly, I think that's the only position that we shouldn't be worrying about too much right now. We need to let Justin Fields develop. But look, we started this off with a bang, made a huge trade. We got a round 1, 2, 3 selection, not just for the 2023 draft, but for the 2024 draft as well, setting us up for a very bright future if we can capitalize on those draft picks here. And all we did was, and I completely did my math wrong, that was a 5th round pick, not a 3rd, so that looks even better now. We gave up the number 1 overall pick and a 5th round pick for all of those picks in return. And still got Jalen Carter at number 4 overall, which is insane. We got a guy in Christian Gonzalez who should be taken in the 1st round, here in the early 2nd, which is a huge reason why I wanted to trade back in the first place. So those 2 picks just absolutely out of the park along with that trade. Rashee Rice here, like I said, is a guy that I'm extremely high on in this year's draft. Glad to have him here in the late 2nd round. And then John Michael Schmitz and DeJuan Jones to shore up an offensive line that has been a little shaky, has been through a little bit of rotation this year in the 2022 NFL season. But I think that this would be a great start to a bright future for the Chicago Bears, and this is really like the launching pad for this franchise. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this year's draft. Do you want to see the Chicago Bears stick and pick? Do you want to see them trade back? Do you want to see them take a quarterback and replace Justin Fields? Let me know in the comment section below. And again, most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. This is draft season. I'll see you guys all later.